Hello Facebook, hello Twitch, hello YouTube. Hi everybody. Lots to talk about today. Lots of shakeups in Abercrombie and Fitch with Michael Jeffries and his romantic partner plus a middleman. I was actually working on a separate video for that, and I think I'll just cover it tonight. And then we've got Leilani Simon. Okay, what happened there? They had some texts of a sexual nature between Leilani and the drug dealer. But then the drug dealer got to be protected. And not only was he allowed not to appear on camera or be broadcast, he was not even allowed to have his voice, heard. So you might remember, like the babysitter, they didn't show her because she was under 18, but you heard her voice. Well, no, we didn't even get to hear that. So that was a blow to those of us watching. And then after that, they had an FBI forensic accountant who was involved with the landfill search for Quinton's body, and then an officer who was actually the person that found part of Quinton's skull in the landfill. And that's how it ended the day there. Of course, Leilani squeezed out a couple of tears at the end, which she would made sure that she removed her glasses completely. Camera zoomed in on her face. She did have some tears falling at the end of court. I don't know how much the jury saw of that. I don't know. You were shocked. We're going to talk about Sarah Boone too. So Leilani, that was pretty much it for Leilani today. They'll be back in court tomorrow. Sarah Boone took the stand. And she recanted that she didn't think someone like George would ever be interested in her. And she told about how, I'm sorry, I was drinking my iced coffee. So I didn't mean to slurp. I didn't mean for the straw to make that noise. I'm sorry about that. So she told about how her father died, her mother died, her grandparents, and I think it was, did she say her brother too? I'm trying to remember, but essentially she was left like an orphan. And this all happened from her teens into her 20s, and then she met her ex-husband. She had her son, and that didn't work out, as we know. They got divorced, and she said she couldn't believe a guy like George would be interested in her. And then they said, well, what do you mean? Why would you think a guy like George wouldn't be interested in you? And she said, well, my divorce and all this stuff. But her first husband had helped her, with things regarding her parents' estate and all of that. He did pay her spousal support. But George then, rented an apartment with her. So she was talking a little bit about, really, that they got along. They've said they were each other's soulmates. But then they started talking about the suitcase, right? And she did admit that she had a baseball bat and she was prodding the suitcase with it. But then she hit his hand away with it. She said she never meant for him to die. She thought he could get out. She overslept. She said that she gave CPR. She called her ex-husband because he was the guy that fixes things. She didn't know what to do. then she started to talk about injuries that he gave her, and they had pictures, and stabbing her until she was, bleeding, throwing her food on her, and so she's getting burns from this very hot soup. And that one we did hear about. But there were pictures shown, a black eye, and some people feel that it might influence the jury to feel sorry for her. I don't know. We could take a poll and see if anybody thinks that. If you think that the jury would feel sorry for her. Does anybody here who watched testimony feel that the pictures of Sarah Boone would make the jury feel sorry for her? Please put in your thoughts in the chat. Put in your thoughts in the chat, please. So let's see, what else we have here? During cross-examination, the assistant state attorney brought out that the suitcase in question and asked Boone to explain where Taurus was positioned inside and demonstrating the location of the zippers. And she said, "I just kind of zipped him up. We thought it was funny. I moved the suitcase around a couple of times, and at that point, it was still funny. We were joking and laughing." She testified that she feared Torres, who she described as abusive, would escape from the suitcase. "My fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase." She added that the suitcase was broken and that she was scared of what he might do if he got out. She admitted that she went to bed with Torres still inside the suitcase. When asked by the prosecution if she believed he could breathe, she responded, "Yes. As long as he was in the suitcase, he couldn't harm me." She said things like he would say that he was going to make her unrecognizable, that, he was going to, what did he say? Beat her. Yeah. Yeah, he was going to make her unrecognizable. He was going to effing end her. That's what I'm thinking of. Let me get to something else about... Okay, so she spoke softly, answered questions about her childhood and her family. She admitted that she was a little bit nervous to be on the stand. She said she was born in Atlanta and moved to Florida with her parents and grandparents when she was 3 years old. As she got older, she faced multiple deaths in a short period of time. She lost her grandfather when she was a sophomore in high school. She lost her father when she was a senior in high school. Her mother passed away a few years after that, and then her grandmother passed away after her mother died. She met her ex-husband, Brian, in her 20s. The pair was married for 13 years and share a son named Lucas, who is going to be 14 years old. I believe it's the end of this month here, the 27th or something, or 22nd of October. She recounted her first impressions of Taurus. It was strange how quickly we hit things off when we had so much in common. I never thought that he would be interested in someone like me, and I just couldn't believe that he was actually interested in me and said a lot of nice things. And 1 hour ended up being 4 hours when we first met. She explained why she thought Taurus would not be interested in her, saying that he was very handsome and very funny. He was smart, and she would show up in workout clothes with disheveled hair, and I guess I kind of felt broken from being in the process of a divorce that he knew about. She answered questions about the day Taurus died. At the time, the two were living together with her 2 dogs, one of which is blind, the other which is deaf. He wanted to start the day off by drinking because it was a day off from his job, and I talked him into cleaning and tidying up the house for a sense of accomplishment. Later in the day, she said she drank wine. They worked on a puzzle, they painted, they danced, and listened to music. She said the suitcase had been moved downstairs a week prior to donate to Goodwill. She said she saw Taurus getting inside of the suitcase on the night that he died. He was trying to get himself flat, so I couldn't tell that he was in there. She said he willingly got into the suitcase on his own. Okay, I still so vividly remember when this happened, right? He continued, excuse me. Hold on a minute, I just lost my... I remember so vividly when that happened and we got that. So she said he willingly got into the suitcase on his own and she zipped him up. We thought it was funny. We were joking around about how he was small enough to fit inside the suitcase. What started off as a laughing matter quickly turned. His tone changed. I knew the tone, and we ended up, I guess, arguing back and forth with one another. She said things then became heated. He continued to push on the suitcase, and my fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase knowing that it was a broken suitcase. She alleged that his hand began to come out of the suitcase, so she started to shake it. She explained why she was nervous about him escaping the suitcase. Like, he used to tell me he probably would have made me unrecognizable or I would have lost my life. When the shaking didn't work, she said she grabbed a baseball bat and used it to... Hold on a minute. Okay, I don't know why I'm just losing my voice. I'm not losing my voice. I don't know what... If it was something I was drinking, maybe all that... the dairy or something. I don't know. When the shaking didn't work, she said she grabbed a baseball bat and used it to poke and hit his hand. She said she was never trying to kill him. She said she went upstairs and fell asleep, and when she woke up around noon the next day, she couldn't find him. She figured that he was downstairs, either drinking or looking for jobs, or may have just left. She saw the suitcase and remembered the previous night. She was aghast, she said. She can't describe the feeling. Terror to a certain degree. And she unzipped the suitcase and started shaking him. I pulled him out, and I stretched him out flat, and I began instantly trying to do CPR. And then I was trying to look for a pulse or a breath or just anything, and was just screaming over and over and over again. She said then she called her ex-husband and asked him to come over. He allegedly told her to call 911 when he got there. During cross-examination, the prosecutors showed the suitcase to the jury. Boone was asked to explain how Taurus was positioned in the suitcase and put gloves on to demonstrate how she zipped the suitcase up. And hold on a moment. I'm going to pull over. Come on. Come on. So there they are with the suitcase, right? Sarah in the suitcase. Okay. And let's see what else we have. The defense showed images of previous injuries Torres allegedly inflicted on Sarah Boone. She recalled one incident involving a steak dinner. That's the infamous steak dinner, right, that she cooked for George. She said he started being very rude, and he was cursing the steak and finding fault with it. And she was trying to encourage him to eat. He didn't listen. He started to pull on me, and he kept saying, I want to F you on the steak and F you on the potatoes. And I took offense to that, Sarah said. She said she started to crawl off the bed and leave the room. He told me again that I'm not going anywhere, and he stabbed me in my leg. And it crunched, and you could hear a noise that it made, and the blood just started to come out of her leg like a fountain. He could have killed her if he... Remember when that lady just stabbed that guy in the thigh and then he died, remember? That was Redleck. And that was another one, and she got off. Remember that lady got off? She went into the bathroom and he bled out and died, but she just thought she just gave him one little stab. Remember that one? Maybe that's where Sarah is, and that was around this same area, Maybe Sarah's thinking with that case. I'm surprised they haven't talked about that case on this one. As the bleeding continued, Sarah asked Torres to call 911, but he allegedly refused. She said he also asked her to drive to the hospital because he was drunk, but she said she was unable to. He said that before anything happens, that she had to concoct a story in order for him not to be arrested or be in trouble when we did inevitably get to the hospital. She said she came up with a story that they had been sword fighting with the steak knives when he accidentally stabbed her leg. Wow. Crazy, huh? So there were black eyes and things that were shown. Let me see if there's any So hang on, this is what I'm looking for right here. This right here is a black eye. So is this, now let me see, I asked you guys earlier to let me know if you think this is going to influence the jury to maybe treat her the way they did Redleck. She really showed abuse. Christine says, yes, I saw the entire trial today. She kept on making weird faces and smirks while on the stand. So what if you were a juror, Christine, it wouldn't sway you about her injuries at all? Would it sway you, do you think? Hi, little lady. Sassy Darcy. Margot. Linda. Anyone? What do you think? The people in the chat. Would it sway you if you were on the jury? Would it sway anybody? Would her injuries cause you to feel differently? Okay, so Slam says, I think she helped herself by testifying. I'm not sure how much. The injuries helped explain her version of being afraid of him. Leilani says, even if they had a domestic violence past, what she did was wrong. Okay, but Slam thinks that she helped herself by testifying. Thank you for that, little lady and Slam. She pushed self-defense. She was afraid. Slam says, with knife throwing or testifying. At Kevin Leonard, who likes to be called Kev Leonard. And his favorite day in school was Pioneer Day, when he made fresh butter. Little lady says, murder. Kevin says it helped her. Little lady says, murder. Okay. So we'll have to see what happens with that little lady. Okay, now we're going to go on to Delphi. We're going to Delphi. Now, what happened with Delphi today is that there was a new video from the girl's phone. And up until this time, oopsie, let me get Sarah off the screen. Up until this time, the video that we've seen is a bridge guy. And bridge guy calling to them to go down there. That's what we saw. But there was other video from the girls' phones that was shown today. And there was a dialogue between the girls that no one had ever seen. So that was the big stuff of the day there. But let's see what we can see. Okay, so the prosecution played a video of Bridge Guy following Abby and Libby. The prosecution played for jurors a portion of the infamous Bridge Guy video that was extracted from Libby's phone. The clip showed Abby walking towards the end of the Monenhigh Bridge, which the teens traversed the day they disappeared. Libby, who crossed ahead of Abby, was recording with her phone. Walking behind Abby in the background is Bridge Guy, dressed in a blue coat and blue jeans. One of the girls was heard saying, "There's no path, so we have to go down here." As the video was played, Libby's mother, Carrie German Timmons, cried while a relative comforted her. Tuesday's showing was the first time prosecutors revealed this portion of the video that shows the man who they allege is Allen following the girls. Law enforcement previously released a zoomed-in clip from the video that did not show Abby in it. In a motion on Sunday, Allen's defense team sought to block testimony as to the words and sounds allegedly contained in the video. It's unclear whether the judge had made a ruling on the request. The portion of the footage played for the jurors did not show the teens interacting with the man. It did not show what happened after both girls crossed the bridge, including the part where a voice was heard saying "down the hill" or where Libby told Abby "gun." Testimony in the trial continued Tuesday with the admission of several dozen pieces of evidence, including swabs that were taken from the girls and clothes that were recovered from the crime scene. It's a tedious but critical portion of any criminal trial. A highlight of the testimony involved a juror who asked whether the undergrowth on the ground where Abby was lying appears to have been disturbed, which would suggest that she was dressed there. Abby was found fully clothed, but she appeared to have been dressed in Libby's clothes. The juror asked the question in the form of a note that was given to the judge. Brian Olahai, an Indiana State Police crime scene investigator, said there was no indication that the area was disturbed. Allen was in court in a gray plaid shirt and dark pants with his glasses perched on his head. He was not cuffed or shackled. He subtly rocked in his chair for a few minutes. And the defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin, later leaned over and whispered something to him. During cross-examination by the defense, the attorney, Bradley Rozzi, Ollie said he was unaware of any DNA linking Allen to the crime scene. Okay, I thought that was from yesterday. Rozzi asked whether there were any attempts to recover fingerprints from the sticks and branches that were strewn apart the girl's body, and Olahi said the sticks were dirty and not a good source of fingerprints. Rozzi asked whether there were any other signs that the girls climbed out of the creek near where the girls' bodies were found. Olahi said there weren't. Rozzi asked whether there was a .40 caliber handgun is common. I'd say no, Olahi responded. Prosecutors allege that an unspent round found between the girls' bodies has been cycled through the same Sig Sauer model P226 .40 caliber handgun that Richard Allen owns. At some point during cross-examination, Rozzi referred to the evidence as the magic bullet. Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McLeland objected to the phrasing. Your characterization is inappropriate, the judge told Rozzi. Let's see what else we have. Raleigh Voorhees went to the Monon High Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017, with 3 friends to hike and take pictures. At around 2:15 p.m., she said she walked past a man who seemed overdressed for the weather. It was an unseasonably warm February day, but the man was dressed in a jacket and a hat. His nose and mouth were covered with what appeared to be a running mask, and he walked with both hands in his pockets. I remember I waved to him and said hi, and he didn't say hi back. And he kind of glared at me a bit. He did not seem to be a happy person. After learning about what happened to Abby and Libby, she thought about this unsettling man that she saw on the trail. She gave a statement to the police on the 15th of February of 2017. After police released an image of the man who was later called Bridge Guy, Voorhees realized that was the man that I waved to on the trail and did not respond. Defense attorney Jennifer Auger tried to cast doubt on Voorhees' testimony and pointed to descriptions that she gave the police in 2017. For example, Voorhees was able to tell police that the man had dirty blonde hair, even though he was wearing a hat. She also initially told police the man she saw had brown eyes, a wrinkled face, and a square jaw. On the stand, Voorhees said, I don't know how I could have said that since his face was covered, and then she acknowledged that her memory was impacted by the Bridge Guy photo and said she can't recall exactly what she saw that day. Voorhees also testified that she believed the man was taller than her. She's 5'7". Richard Allen is a short man, the defense later noted. Towards the end of the testimony, Voorhees said she was unsure about her identification. I could say with confidence that the person I saw in the photo is this person I walked past. Earlier in the day, the prosecution played the latter portion of the Bridge Guy video while Jeremy Chapman, an Indiana State Police Systems Administrator, testified. The video with enhanced audio was played for the court, and the jurors heard the voice of a man. My opinion, Chapman testified, is that he says down the hill. The defense filed a motion on Sunday to keep testimony and the enhanced video from the jury. Let me see something else. Oh, excuse me. I need to. Towards the end of the testimonies, Voorhees said she was sure about her identification. I can say with confidence that the person I saw in the photo is the person I walked passed, she said. Okay, so she ended that with saying she was sure. I'm sorry. I misspoke there, so now that we know that. And so that is it for Delphi for that day. Now we're going to go to Abercrombie and Fitch. So hang on. So I've got some research notes here. Come along, come along. Trying to open them up. All right, so let me go over here. Come along. Okay. Okay, so this. Wish that I could as I have my photos over here. I wonder if I can There we go. Okay, so the former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO is arrested and charged with sex trafficking. Back to Brooklyn, where federal prosecutors charged Michael S. Jeffries, the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, of running an international sex trafficking operation which occurred during several years that he was running the company. The charges against him are using force, fraud, and coercion to lure dozens of men to events around the world where they were exploited sexually by Mr. Jeffries and his romantic partner. The indictment lists 15 people who have accused Mr. Jeffries of these acts. Now, Mr. Jeffries is 80 years old. He ran Abercrombie and Fitch from the years 1992 to 2014. He was arrested in Florida Tuesday morning with his partner, Matthew Smith, who's 61. They're both to appear in the federal court in West Palm Beach later on Tuesday, so this afternoon they did. There's a third person named is James Jacobson, a 71-year-old man who was arrested this morning as well, Tuesday morning, in Wisconsin. He was indicted and was due to appear in federal court in St. Paul, Minnesota, according to John Marzulli, who's a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. It appears that Mr. Jacobson, that's the man in Wisconsin, the 71-year-old, was employed by Jeffries and Smith as a recruiter of these young men. The men would be recruited by Jacobson, and then they would have to have some type of intimate relations with him. After that, he would choose the ones who would travel to events in the Hamptons, New York City, and elsewhere for commercial sex. Mr. Jacobson was employed from 2008 to 2015, and there was a news conference that was held to announce the indictment. Brian Peace, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said Mr. Jeffries was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner. The men that were trafficked were aspiring to be male models, and they attended secret events where there was staff that had signed NDAs. The men say they were threatened by Mr. Jeffries to comply or risk harm to their career prospects. Pressure was put on the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, muscle relaxers prior to engaging in these intimate acts that were not consensual. The victims were as young as 19, and they were not able to leave without the men's approval. If convicted, the 3 defendants could be facing 15 years to up to life in prison. If they're convicted of interstate prostitution, it could be a maximum of 20 years in prison. Brian Bieber, now I remember talking about Brian Bieber being a lawyer for someone else recently, is the lawyer for Mr. Jeffries, and he declined to comment on the charges, but said that the legal team for Mr. Jeffries would respond in detail to the allegations in court when appropriate. Lawyers for Mr. Smith said they would respond in the courthouse, not in the media. The 3 defendants charged will be arraigned in New York by early next week, according to Mr. Peace. Prosecutors are seeking detention for, what happened here? Hold on a minute, we've skipped ahead to, hold on, I've got to go back here for a sec. Uh-oh, hold on. Let me go back where we were, because we were on our last thing and we lost it. Let me just finish this from here. Okay. The 3 defendants charged will be arraigned in New York by early next week, according to Mr. Peace. Prosecutors are seeking detention for Mr. Smith, who's a dual citizen. He's a citizen of the UK and the US, and bail packages for Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Jacobson. The sluggish sales and accusations of discrimination have left the once dominant company, Abercrombie Fitch, in a really fragile state. Now, the other things that we're going to talk about is some of these detailed things that some of these men have gone through. So give me a second here to pull some of that up. Okay. Now, they described Mr. Jacobson as a man that only had part of his nose. I'm assuming maybe he had skin cancer or something cut from his nose. I'm not sure. That's just what I believe. The acts that these guys had to engage in could be violent. And Mr. Jeffries and his partner previously denied any wrongdoings via their lawyers. Mr. Jeffries' lawyer told the BBC on Tuesday they were going to respond in detail to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed. The FBI opened their investigation last year after the BBC revealed claims that Mike Jeffries and his partner sexually exploited and abused men at events they hosted in their New York residences and hotels around the world. Outlying prosecutors' accusations, Mr. Peace alleged that the couple employed Mr. Jacobson as their recruiter who would conduct tryouts. So when he did these tryouts, he either asked the men to perform something on him or he performed something on them in order to pass them on to other events, okay? Once he approved of the men, Mr. Jeffries approved it, and then they would be flown to his New York home where they would be pressured. That's when they would be pressured to consume that alcohol, the Viagra, the muscle relaxants. Now, prosecutors further alleged that Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Smith directed others or personally injected men with substances that induced erection if they were incapable or unwilling to participate. So they had these whatever drugs or substances to do that. Apparently, the ex-CEO spent millions of dollars on a massive infrastructure to support this operation and maintain its secrecy, which included international travel, hotel stays, and paid staff and security for the events. And that's something I forgot. I already had that written down, that he used Abercrombie and Fitch monies for some of this stuff. And hold on, where did I have that down here somewhere? Let me get to that. Where did I? Secret events. Oh, yeah, see, I forgot a whole part in here. Hang on. Is that over here? Brittany Henderson, a partner for the law firm that represents the plaintiffs in their suits against the company and Mr. Jeffries, said the arrests were monumental for the aspiring male models who were victimized by these individuals. Their fight for justice does not end here. Our clients look forward to holding Abercrombie and Fitch liable for facilitating this terrible conduct and assuring this cannot happen again. The FBI is asking for anyone who believes they are a victim or has information to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. What about the, let's see something. Of course, there was about where he used the Abercrombie money. I must have had that in somewhere else, but prosecutors say there were 15 victims mentioned in the indictment, but allege that the operation encompassed dozens and dozens of men. Now, after their court appearance on Tuesday, Mr. Jeffries was released on a $10 million bond, while Mr. Jacobson was released on a $500,000 bond. They're due in court on Friday. Mr. Smith was ordered detained. Okay, Mr. Peace, the federal prosecutor, confirmed at a press conference on Tuesday that authorities were initially tipped off by media reports. So the lawsuit also accused Abercrombie and Fitch of having funded a sex trafficking operation over the 2 decades that he was in charge as CEO. Earlier on Tuesday, Brad Edwards of Edwards Henderson, a civil lawyer representing some of the victims, said these arrests are a huge first step towards obtaining justice for the many victims who were exploited and abused through this sex trafficking scheme that operated for many years under the legitimate cover that Abercrombie provided. The unprecedented reporting of the BBC, coupled with the lawsuit our firm filed detailing the operation, are to credit for these monumental arrests. This was the result of impressive investigative journalism. In its initial investigation, the BBC spoke to 12 men who described attending or organizing events involving sex acts run from Mr. Jeffries and his British partner, Mr. Smith, between 2009 and 2015. The 8 men who attended the events said they were recruited by a middleman identified as James Jacobson. Some alleged that Mr. Jeffries' assistants had injected them in the male member, in that organ, with what they were told was liquid Viagra. Mr. Jacobson previously told the BBC in a statement through his lawyer that he took offense at the suggestion of any coercive, deceptive, or forceful behavior on my part, and that he had no knowledge of any such conduct by others. The BBC interviewed dozens of other sources, including their former household staff. Some of the men the BBC spoke to said they were misled about the nature of events, or they were told that sex was not involved. Others said they understood the events would be sexual, but not exactly what was expected of them, and all of them were paid for their involvement. Several told the BBC the middleman or other recruiters raised the possibility of modeling opportunities with Abercrombie and Fitch. And here's some of the stories. There was a man identified as David Bradbury, who was 23, an aspiring model. He said it was made clear to him that without performing oral duties on Mr. Jacobson, and I'm changing that a little bit, okay, but I think you know what I mean, he would not be meeting with the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, Mr. Jeffries. He said, and I quote, it was like he was selling fame, and the price was compliance, end quote. Mr. Bradbury said he later went to a party at Mr. Jeffries' mansion in the Hamptons, and there he met Mr. Jeffries and had relations with him. He said the secluded location and presence of Mr. Jeffries' personal staff, who were dressed in Abercrombie and Fitch uniforms, and they supervised events, meant he didn't feel safe to say no, or I don't feel comfortable with this. After the initial investigation that was conducted by the BBC was published last year, Abercrombie and Fitch announced it was opening an independent investigation into these allegations. When asked when that report will be completed and if the findings will be made public, there was no answer. The company declined to answer. Okay, so the company is still trying to get a civil lawsuit against it dismissed, arguing it had no knowledge of the supposed sex trafficking venture led by its former CEO. Earlier this year, a U.S. court ruled that Abercrombie and Fitch must cover the cost of Mike Jeffries' legal defense as he continues to fight the civil allegations of sex trafficking in R. The judge ruled the allegations were tied to his corporate role after he sued the brand for refusing to pay his legal fees. Isn't that special? The brand said it did not comment on legal matters. However, in its defense submitted to court, Abercrombie and Fitch said its current leadership team was previously unaware of the allegations until the BBC contacted it, adding that the company abhors sexual abuse and condemns the alleged conduct by Mr. Jeffries and others. In 2014, Mr. Jeffries stepped down as CEO following declining sales and left with a retirement package valued at $25 million. Once one of the highest paid CEOs, he was a controversial figure who faced claims of discrimination against staff, concerns about his lavish expenses, and complaints about the unofficial influence of his life partner, Matthew Smith, inside Abercrombie and Fitch. So there's more men. Okay, so here's another man says, more men have come forward. Luke says he was shocked as he was guided into Mike Jeffries' presidential suite in a hotel in Spain. And this all comes from the BBC that investigated this, and I believe they have a documentary on it. It was like a movie set of an Abercrombie store. And I thought we were going to do a photo shoot. He said the room was dimly lit. It had erotic photos of men's abs adorning the dark walls. In the middle, a group of assistants dressed in Abercrombie and Fitch uniforms, polos, blue jeans, flip-flops, were casually folding clothes on a table, pretending to be shop workers. Luke was age 20 at the time. He said he had been offered the chance of being in a company advertisement if he flew from his home in Los Angeles to Madrid to meet the CEO. Luke said the proposal came via a modeling website from a man who said he worked as a talent scout and an executive assistant for Mr. Jeffries. In the suite, he said that Mr. Jeffries' assistants began engaging in role-playing, encouraging him to act as a shirtless greeter of the Hallmark Abercrombie and Fitch stores. Luke says he remembers the talent scout saying, "Now I have two very important guests, and these are going to be the customers that you need to impress and entertain because they're going to be buying a lot of clothing from you." At that moment, he said Mr. Jeffries and his partner Matthew Smith came out of a corner of the room and they immediately started touching him, and Mr. Jeffries forcibly kissed him. He says, "I was trying to avoid the whole situation as much as I could, but Michael was very aggressive." He said the Abercrombie boss then performed something orally on him, okay? He said, "I tried to say no repeatedly, and then I just got kind of convinced to do something, but I constantly was saying no, and I wanted to go." Luke, who this is not his real name, is one of 8 men who has spoken to the BBC in the past year. The FBI has launched an investigation following the BBC's reporting, and 20 men in total now have said that they attended or helped to organize these events. As well as Luke's allegation, the new witnesses reveal fresh details about what took place from at least 2009 until 2015. The BBC found that there had been a sophisticated operation involving a middleman with finding men for these events. See, another person, Chris, not his real name, said that he felt like he was going to die after one of these injections caused an extreme reaction during an event at one of Mr. Jeffries' New York homes. He said he felt hot, dizzy, and in shock, and nobody called for an ambulance. Still disoriented, he said that Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Smith, who had been waiting in another room, then tried to have their way with him. Another model, Keith Milkey, said that one of Mr. Jeffries' assistants also bragged about having done some work for Abercrombie and Fitch at the same time as working as these events. Personal assistants of Mr. Jeffries were often dressed in the Abercrombie and Fitch uniforms. Let's see here. One former attendee, Diego Gullin, says he had been interviewed by the FBI and said he was paid $500 every Saturday to make wake-up calls to men expected to attend these events in 2011. He estimated he made 80 calls over 7 months. He said there was a roster of attendees. Other sources have said this database could have as many as 60 different men on it at any given time, revealing a snapshot of the scale of men that were recruited. He said he initially attended these events at Mr. Jeffries' former New York homes after he was recruited by, again, the middleman James Jacobson. Mr. Gullin is now a lawyer and a real estate broker who runs his own firm and says he has never had sex for money before, but at the time he was unemployed and homeless and he was sleeping in a friend's office. Despite his circumstances, he said he did not feel exploited. After the FBI turned up at his door, he said he contacted Mr. Jeffries' lawyer, who sent a private investigator to interview him to help build their legal defense. Mr. Gullin said the other men present at the events he attended had been under no obligation, under zero pressure, and they were paid quite well. He said that Michael and Matthew are high-profile gay men, and they liked having relations with young, handsome men. And being older, they knew the real way to get this done was to be generous, but with full consent, and making sure that the men wanted it and liked it, and that's it. Let's see. Unlike other men who were recruited by the middleman, Luke says his initial contact was an assistant working for Mr. Jeffries. And said the assistant interviewed him over Skype, telling him to expect to be topless for the Madrid hotel photo shoot, but there was no obvious red flags. It didn't seem like anything too out of the ordinary for me, because even working at the Abercrombie store when I was younger, there were guys that would stand outside shirtless. It was a trademark thing. Okay, so then it says the night before the event, Luke said he was paid $3,500 in cash, which he believed was general spending money for the 3 days he was in Madrid, but the assistant was vague about the plan. He said in the hotel suite, Mr. Jeffries and Mr. Smith began having relations with two slightly older men. One he thought he was in his 30s and one he thought he was in his 40s, present for the same event. Luke said Mr. Jeffries started kissing him and soon after wanted to perform something on him, and Mr. Smith attempted to do the same. He said he tried to perform some sort of act on Mr. Jeffries, but he just couldn't do it. He said, I'm getting fired because I didn't do what this guy wanted. That he was about to lose his chance at a modeling job. I could have just run out of that room, but I didn't even know how I would have gotten out. He said he felt unable to leave as Mr. Jeffries' assistants, whom he perceived as security staff, were watching all the exits. Watching exits. Back home in the United States, he says he felt unable to report what happened because of his non-disclosure agreement he had signed. So there's an immense amount of shame associated with this idea that you're not a masculine man if you've been taken advantage of by another man. He identifies as straight. He said, my whole life I've struggled with people thinking that I'm gay. I got bullied in high school because I have a soft voice. The last thing on earth I was going to do is say something emasculating like, I was taken advantage of by a guy. He said what happened in Madrid was rocket fuel for a drug addiction he later developed. In 2016, he was arrested for selling drugs and served 6 months in a correctional boot camp. He now runs his own business, helping people with addictions. Let's see here. Keith Milkey said he attended numerous events between 2012 and 2014. He said he understood that these events would be sexual. But he said nothing could prepare you for what would happen next. He was about 20 years old, struggling to pay his rent after he was invited to move to New York by an agent who ran a house full of aspiring models. He said a housemate soon introduced the idea of escorting, and a contact later introduced him to Mr. Jacobson. Mr. Milkey, identified as straight at the time, said he found some of the events uncomfortable and painful. On one occasion, he said Mr. Jeffries instructed him to do something with another man which he did not want or enjoy. During another, he says he was verbally abused by Mr. Jeffries after saying no to a risky act while on board the Queen Mary II, an ocean liner which sails from England to New York. He said Mr. Jeffries was drunk and tried to do something with a bleeding finger. He said, I was in the bed putting on a fake smile, crying on the inside, and he says, here I am in the middle of the ocean having this person 4 times my age in the position of power and influence belittle me to death and literally call me worthless simply because I said no to something. He said Mr. Jacobson paid him $24,000 in cash for the 7-night cruise. Okay, let's see here. And there was there's the time. Hold on, there's some. Okay, so there was another guy. Hang on. Oh, yeah, this is some. One man who remained anonymous claimed that date rape drugs were put in his drink at an event in Marrakesh, knocking him out. The man, who had been healthy, said he later discovered that he was HIV positive. It kind of turned everything upside down, he said, choking back tears. Things haven't been the same since. It was this very slim possibility it could have come from outside the event, but there's no way to know for sure. Mr. Jacobson previously said he took offense at the suggestion of any coercive, deceptive, or forceful behavior on my part and had no knowledge of any such conduct by others. So let me see where you guys are here. Okay. So I mean, so that's a big thing right there, Abercrombie and Fitch. But you know, like we were talking about it, one of the charges going to happen for Victoria's Secret and for Hollister and for, you know, just about every industry, every organization, because what we're finding out is these people in power are abusing that power or using that power to really do whatever they want. So, you know, where does it where's it going to go from here? Is this just the start of the whole thing, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Hi, Maureen Gunn. How are you? So, and where is the documentary on this? Let me look at where this documentary is about Abercrombie and Fitch. Okay, so the rise and fall of Abercrombie and Fitch It may be still on Netflix. I don't know. Let me see. It may be. It's called White Hot, The Rise and Fall of Abercrombie and Fitch, and it's a 2022 American documentary film made for Netflix and directed by Alison Clayman. So this is not from the BBC here. White Hot, The Rise and Fall of Abercrombie and Fitch details the store's success and controversies, including its racist and exclusionary practices. The documentary focuses on the brand after the arrival of CEO Mike Jeffries. I've heard that name so many times. 1992, and his practices, which led to a 2003 class action suit, which alleged racial discrimination in the store's hiring policies. Director Alison Clayman explores the company's toxic culture, featuring interviews from some of the original participants in the class action suit. Documentary features Samantha Eloff, who was rejected by Abercrombie for employment due to wearing a headscarf to the interview. Abercrombie fought back, and the case ultimately went to the Supreme Court, which ruled in favor of Eloff. Let's see. Ow, I just hurt my arm. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to go take out. Oh, I've got something right here. Okay. All right, so let's see what else we have here. So what does it say? So that's what that's really not on the on this new stuff that's come out, right? No. No, but let me see. The Abercrombie Guys is another one. It was on Apple TV that said this documentary deals with the sexual abuse. But that's on Apple TV. The Dark Side of Cool. Anyway, let me see what else is going on, because there are some other things I want to talk about tonight. Texas soldiers charged with 27 counts, including and attempted murder. Great. A teen Walmart worker is found dead in the bakery's walk-in oven. Are you kidding me? my goodness. This is in Canada. What? Oh my gosh, that's so scary. Okay. Canadian police say a woman was found dead at Walmart on Saturday after she was discovered in a walk-in oven. The 19-year-old died in the oven at the store's bakery department in Halifax. She had recently moved to Canada from India. The cause of death has not been confirmed. The Labor Department told the Toronto Star that a stop work order was issued for the bakery and one piece of equipment at the store. It's unclear when it will reopen. Oh my gosh, walk-in oven. Walk-in oven? A church youth music director is charged with multiple child sex crimes. 29-year-old Michigan church youth and music director. Wow. High school-aged boy arrested for the murders of 5 apparent members of his family, including 3 more teenagers. Wow. Teenage boy was taken into custody in Washington state and will be charged with the murders of 5 people, including 3 more teens, apparently all members of his family. A teen girl was treated on the scene by a neighbor with medical training and taken to the Harbor View Medical Center in Seattle. She was reported to be in satisfactory condition. When deputies got here, they discovered sort of a chaotic scene. But what they did when they entered the property is they immediately took one young teenager male into custody, said the Kings County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Mike Mellis. What they found was a mix of injured and deceased persons. All the victims are believed to be related to the killer. That a couple and their 5 children lived at the house. Their names have not been released and police have not revealed their relationships. I'm just in total shock, said a neighbor, Lynn Trowern, and I keep bursting into tears. That is why I have to go to my daughter's house, because I can't be here on my own. I just keep seeing the faces of the children. A spokesperson said the suspect was a high school-age teen and would be charged with first or second-degree murder. Mellis said that multiple people called to the Lake Alice neighborhood 911 just before 5 a.m. Monday for a shooting. Lake Alice. I can say that it's going to be a really tragic event for the community, for anybody who has a connection here. The school district said at least 2 of the victims were school age, but that none attended the Valley schools. Nonetheless, the district and counselors have support staff that will be available all week. The children were homeschooled. They were homeschooled. The younger kids, the sweetest children, so polite, homeschooled, and it's just unfathomable. The parents probably thought they were doing the right thing by homeschooling their children and protecting them from this sort of bad things that are going to happen in the world. And here it happens right from within their own house. I don't even know what to think. Investigators say they had not been called to the home before and the boy in custody had no criminal history. The suspect is being held at the Kings County Juvenile Detention Facility. Wow. Let me see. I want to look at that a little bit further. Okay, so we've got some more information on that. The parents, Mark and Sarah Humiston, were among the 5 people killed inside a home on Lake Alice, southeast, around 5 a.m. Monday. The 3 other victims were their children, who were juveniles. The suspect in the killings was their 15-year-old son. Mark, the father, was an electrical engineer at Hargis Engineers. A member of the company released this statement. "We are blindsided and saddened by the tragic events that have led to the loss of a respected colleague, mentor, and friend, as well as the loss of immediate family members. Mark's leadership and vision were integral within our firm, and he will be greatly missed. Our thoughts are with his surviving family, friends, and colleagues during this difficult time." Sarah Humiston appears to have been a registered nurse. Her nursing license expired at the end of 2022. A young girl survived the attack and remains in the hospital in satisfactory condition. The family of 7 lived together in the fall home. According to a neighbor, Mark and Sarah homeschooled their children. But they were very active in the community and they were well known. A council member of the King County issued a statement Monday saying that the 5 members out of 7 were tragically killed. So that means like this daughter is the only survivor other than her brother, who is the perpetrator. Isn't that crazy? Oh, we wonder why people, I don't know. This is crazy. Hold on a minute. I need something for my, where the heck is my pantry here? Aha, there you are. Okay. Sorry. Just getting like a bursitis or something on my arm here. Okay. So it said, my heart aches for the lives lost and all those struggling to make sense of this right now. Community members gathered at the Full City United Methodist Church Tuesday to honor the 5 victims. The loss of this family, taken so cruelly and senselessly, has left us heartbroken, devastated, struggling to understand how such pain could exist in the world, said Pastor Carrie Bland. The 15-year-old suspect accused in the fatal shootings waived his right to appear at his first court appearance Tuesday afternoon, and he was represented by a defense attorney. At the Tuesday hearing, a judge found probable cause for the 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree attempted murder. The court also ordered the suspect to have no contact with his surviving immediate family member. Defense attorney Amy Parker said, "I want to remind everyone that these are not proven facts, merely allegations, and the law presumes our client is innocent of these charges. What we want to look at are the details gathered by the investigators and what we can show to the court," says Casey McNerthney, a spokesperson for the King County's prosecuting attorney's office. "We want the court to know that our client is a 15-year-old boy who enjoys mountain biking and fishing and has no criminal history," his attorney told the court. "There is no indication that he has come to the prosecutor's office before, no previous cases, no first appearances. That's unusual to see these kind of allegations with no previous contact with the prosecutor's office, but that is what we have here," said McNerthney. Oh boy. The teen suspect will be held in secure detention until the next hearing. Prosecutors anticipate a case referral from investigators as early as Thursday for a formal charging decision. Another hearing is scheduled for Friday. It has not been decided if the teen will be charged as an adult. That decision will be made after the case is referred to the Kings County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, which is expected as early as Thursday. Montana man, this is what I had talked about. I thought it was a woman, but it was a Montana man who was reported to be killed in a bear attack, died by a homicide. Okay, let me see where you guys are. Over here. Hi, Elisa. So, where's Little Lighty? Little Lighty, do you have any knowledge of this? I think Little Lady, there was something else that happened in Washington State. Hi, Elisa. Alyssa. I don't know why I said Elisa. Alyssa. So, yeah, that's crazy, right? 15-year-old. Let me see what else. What the heck? I mean, it's crazy. And look, that's a homeschooling family, right? Like somebody out actually said. Okay, here's some other stuff. Let's see. Okay, so Judge Joe Campagna found probable cause. Yes, we did. 77 block of Lake Alice, which is near the Lake Alice public boat launch. After multiple 911 callers reported a possible shooting just before 5 a.m. in the Falls City area of King County. The victims were 2 parents and 3 of the juvenile children. Let me see something. I'm just trying to see if there's any... social media presence. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so all 5 children were homeschooled. Here were the parents. Okay. So I do have the father's Facebook page. There's only one post on it that's public. It says continuous underperformance, poor masking and cutting in, repeated scheduled cancellations, masking for lacquering woodwork removed significant paint off the walls throughout the house, and our CG, I think he means GC, has been unable to get them to fix the damage. That's all he has on there that's public. And he has this picture here. So that's for him. And see what there is for her. Let's see here. Sarah. So many people with that name. It's interesting. I don't know if this is her. Let me see. Kind of. No, I don't think that could be her. No, definitely not her. Let me see something else here. Comments here. Let's see. So someone said, law enforcement agents say Mark and Sarah's 15-year-old son shot and killed his parents and 3 siblings after a misunderstanding. I don't know who put that down there, but somebody said after a misunderstanding. And someone in the comments said, no misunderstanding. It was domestic violence. Don't whitewash it. He shot both his parents and 3 of his younger siblings. How is that a misunderstanding? No motive has been given. It was murder. Someone said exactly. Slamming a door may come from a misunderstanding. Murdering 5 of your own family members while aiming for 6, all in cold blood, is pure evil. How is murder attempt? Okay. Okay, there's nothing there. Let's see, that's all I share. Usually sometimes there's a lot of comments on something and people in the area and stuff come around. But I don't see too many here. That's horrible. I wonder, let me see here. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to click allow. Leave me alone. You don't have to know whether I'm a robot or not. I'm not a robot. Out of here, stupidity. Let's see here. It says that Mark, his wife Sarah, and 3 of their children were found in their rustic $2 million mansion in Falls City by Lake Alice, about 30 miles east of Seattle, which has some of the most expensive homes in America and an average income of $120K per household. Teen sister is the only survivor. The family purchased this sprawling 3-bedroom home, 4-bathroom mansion in 2019. It's only 3 bedrooms. And would they have 5 kids? That's strange. In 2019. Let's see if we can get a picture of this. So it says Falls City, Lake Alice. Well, let's see. I mean, we can definitely probably pull up a picture of the house just by the last name and the... Okay. Okay. Hang on, this is the teen girl was reportedly shot twice and taken to the hospital after she got medical help from a neighbor. She's in satisfactory condition. They're originally from Texas. He worked as an associate principal at Hargis Engineers in Seattle, where he worked for nearly 20 years. The family purchased the sprawling 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom mansion in 2019. Okay, there was no significant confrontation with the young man who was taken into custody. What had happened had happened. It was done. Officials said the teen... Hold on a minute. It just jumps like crazy. The teen will face 1st or 2nd degree murder charges. Neighbors say the kids were homeschooled and well known. They were often seen playing and swimming by their lakeside home. Okay, so it appears to be one of these homes right here. Let me just... Oh my gosh, these stupid things that keep popping up on everything I'm looking at. I don't know what the heck this is back here, but some kind of a deck. Okay, this is like some kind of a deck or something in the back here of this house that's... Okay. I don't know whether I would say it's this one, but let's see if we can find out. Hold on, I'm just going to try to shut some things down here. Falls City is ranked 29 out of 200 and... Shutting down some... 273 cities in the U.S. for the cost of living, which is 120% higher than the national average. Okay. Is this true? There's an urgent recall of an antidepressant medication taken by millions after it's found to contain a cancer chemical used in rocket fuel. Is that true? Okay, I'm just going through a bunch of closing down some windows over here because they're just too darn much. Okay. And I'm going to try to find something if I can close these things out. Close those, please. Oh my goodness, where are your shoes? This is driving me crazy. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna hit my task manager and just shut this all down. And then and open up a clean browser. Doesn't want to even let me do, it won't even do that for me. Isn't that crazy? All right, stay with me here. I'm gonna try to get oh my goodness. Okay, well, I don't know why. Maybe I'll just talk to you for a second until this, let me get my phone and I'll have to talk to you, pull the stuff up I want to look at on my phone. Oh, this is so crazy. Finally opening the tax manager. Something happens to me. I feel a little weird. Just so you know that. I have a weird feeling. It's in my neck. And it's going down to my arm. Going to leave. And I put this penetrate stuff on. And I think I might have pulled a muscle because they moved some boats in on Sunday. And I think the more I'm thinking about it, I'm getting like a panic attack about it, which is not helping because I feel weird. And I can't talk with anybody because I can't fix my computer. So I can't even get to the chat. But what I am going to try to do is to start a new Zoom because I'm starting to get like, when I get like this and I'm getting like really anxious. And there's the task manager. Come on, please. Okay, well, hang on a minute because I'm going to go into my, I'm going to start a new Zoom on something else and then try to come into here. I'm just getting really, I don't want to get into a full-on panic attack about this. Okay, they should be coming in on my phone now. I think I started a new Zoom on my phone because I can't do anything on my freaking computer. It's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Let me see what I've got over here. OBS, Zoom meetings, Microsoft Edge. I can't get the freaking out of here, Microsoft Edge. Who wants you? Nobody. This. I've got like anti-malware. What the hell is that? I don't have that. Shut down this freaking Google Chrome. Okay. Does anybody see the new Zoom? Okay. Because I'm going to just try to end this live, and I can't. I wish I could just end this live. But I can't even see you guys or anything. I can't get back to Google Chrome. If I could just. Now Google Chrome won't even open for me. This is crazy. Now it's opening. Okay. Hold on. Let me try to get into here. See, the more I'm getting nervous about it, the more I'm getting like into a panic about this. Okay, here's the live now. Finally, I'm back in the live. Okay. All right. Okay, so you guys are here. Now I'm here. Yeah, I'm getting anxiety from it. That's exactly what's happening. All right. And I just can't, I just... Okay. Okay, I'm just going to make...
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so now I've got you on a Zoom on my phone. All right, Alyssa, I think I'm just going to... Let me see, let's shut this down.
Okay, so you guys are here. Now I'm here. Yeah, I'm getting anxiety from it. That's exactly what's happening.
Hold on a minute.
All right.
Okay, let me just lower that. So Gretchen says pulled muscles hurt. Yeah, like a Motrin, just one. Not worried about what she took. It's only... Well... Did she mention something was recalled? Oh, yeah. That was some antidepressant. That's what I was saying. Let me see. Okay, I feel better now that I can see the chat. Let me see. Recalled rocket fuel, it said. Let's see. I don't know. It said something on, but I don't see it here. Let me just try it without rocket fuel. Oh, there is a recall. It's called duloxetine. Antidepressant recall. FDA upgrades the risk level due to cancer-causing chemical. It says recalled thousands of bottles of antidepressants that it said contained high levels of cancer-causing chemicals. The FDA is assigning the second highest risk level to the recall of, oh my gosh, with these ads, stop! Duloxetine is used to treat depression, anxiety, and nerve pain caused by fibromyalgia. The capsules have been recently designated a Class 2 recall, a situation in which use or the exposure to a product may cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences or where the probability of serious adverse health consequences is remote. But that has changed now. That low levels of a cancer-causing chemical called N-nitrosoduloxetine have been discovered during routine production checks. Though commonly found in water and food products, the FDA regulates how much of the chemical can be present in certain items because at high levels the chemicals can cause harm. In the meantime, the FDA advised that patients continue taking their prescribed medications until they have discussed the issue with their healthcare professional. What? You recall them but then say continue taking them? What? Okay, it's Cymbalta. Let me see. Thousands of bottles of the antidepressant duloxetine, but then they said duloxetine was the thing that was not good, which is sold under the brand name Cymbalta, have been recalled due to the presence of a toxic chemical. The October 10th recall is due to the presence of N-nitrosoduloxetine, which is duloxetine, a chemical that is toxic if swallowed and is suspected of causing cancer. The FDA classified the recall as a Class 2, which means that the drug could cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences. The medication manufactured, get out of here, in Towa Pharmaceutical Europe was distributed nationally across the United States. In a statement, the FDA said it recommends patients talk to their healthcare professional about the best course of action for their health if they have a medication that has been recalled. The recall covers 7,107 bottles of duloxetine. The bottles include 500 delayed-release 20 milligram capsules. The lot number is 220128 with an expiration date of 12/24. Okay. So, I don't know. A 21-year-old American college student was sentenced to 1 year in a Dubai prison after being accused of assaulting and insulting an airport staff during a layover. Elizabeth Polanco de los Santos was denied boarding on July 15th when traveling through Dubai International Airport. She was subjected to unpleasant, humiliating, and offensive searches when traveling from Istanbul to New York. Elizabeth's experience going through the Dubai airport has left her organization. Detained in Dubai, calling for increased travel warnings to the United States citizens. Let me see here. We thought it would be a more modern and futuristic city, but we were completely wrong. She was traveling to Turkey with a friend and had a 10-hour layover. Authorities told her to remove the doctor-mandated waist training brace she wore while going through airport security. She hesitantly agreed and was led to a booth where women's security officers took the trainer off in a rough manner. I felt very violated, uncomfortable and afraid. She attempted to put it back on, which usually requires 2 people, and asked for help. The security officers blocked her exit, and the student nudged one of them while calling her friend for help. I gently touched her arm to guide her out of the way, and then I desperately started crying to my friend for help. After the search came back clear, officials told her that she was detained for touching the female customs officer. She was kept for several hours as the officers filed a complaint. It said that she has now been told hang on a minute. I don't know what I just jumped. 21-year-old reached out to the organization. She's been detained. I don't know what the heck is going on. That's crazy. Okay. They told me they weren't taking returns because they didn't receive any of the contaminated bottles. I don't see a lot number. I don't know, Sassy. I guess so. Call your pharmacy. Hi, Native Libra. You had a horrible birthday? I'm sorry that you had a horrible birthday. Happy birthday. I'd take that brand and call the pharmacy and they said it was fine. It was just some impurities. Ow, now I have a pain. Now it's in my waist. This is crazy. What the heck is going on? Let me see. I'm going to see about that Cymbalta recall. Okay. It says patients taking, okay. What the heck? Why don't they just tell you what the freaking... Okay. Patients taking prescription medications with potential nitrosamine impurities should not stop taking their medications. Patients should talk to their healthcare professionals about concerns and other treatment options. The agency is working to determine the source of these impurities and will keep the public informed. Per the Mayo Clinic, it is known by the name Cymbalta, Derzalma, Sprinkle, and Arenca. It's used to treat depression and anxiety, and it's also used for pain caused by nerve damage associated with diabetes. It can also be used to treat fibromyalgia and long-lasting pain that is related to muscles and bones. There are multiple reasons why nitrosamines can be present in drugs. Can be related to the drug's manufacturing process or its chemical structure, or even in the conditions in which they were stored or packaged. What the heck? Okay, here's something. The Board of Pharmacy has revealed notice of the following recalls. Please be advised. I don't know, is this the thing? February 25th. I don't know if this is... Yeah, here's something. I'm going to just put this link in here. This may help you guys. that may help. All right, but I'm going to let you guys go. I want to just go sit down and relax a little bit. I love you guys. God bless. Prayers. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.